remember, this is an edit demo for hybrid animals. So we are making creatures that combine different animals. As you look at the examples, notice they are similar colors: white horse, white duck, black and black, brown and brown. So picking images that the colors are similar makes it much easier to blend them. So the monkey and the wings are similar colors. And then also the pictures need to go the same directions. So you want to make sure they have colors that match and that they go the same direction so that it's easier to blend them. So keep this in mind, like it's standing up and its face is up. Keep this in mind when you're picking pictures. It makes it much more satisfying result at the end. So first I need to find pictures. I'm going to do 3 different pictures. So if I type the word, I go to images, tools, size, large. So make sure you do every time because it resets itself, and then we need to make sure it's over 1,000 pixels and it doesn't have watermarks. So if I click on this one, I can see how many pixels it has. It needs to be over 1,000. And then if I want to save this, click with 2 fingers or right click, save image as. Yours will probably look like this, and it's probably going to your downloads. So I'm going to name it duck because it's a duck. And then I'm going to hit this triangle and I'm going to put it on my desktop, and I'm going to make a new folder, and I'm naming it demo because I already have one. So I'm making sure it's going to my hybrid animals. I'm saving it. I hit save, and then make sure it's a JPEG. The WEP files don't always work. So then if I'm going to pick another one, another white horse. So I put white in there because I want it to be white, but you see how it doesn't save my tools? So I need to go tools, size, large, and you need to make sure it's going the same direction. So I don't remember which direction my duck was going. So I'm going to go to my desktop. So my duck was facing to the side. So I need something that's similar. This one might work. Let's see. Ooh, it's not quite big enough. Maybe this one will be. So even though I have it to size large, it doesn't mean I'm always going to get the best pictures. Because if I open a new tab, looks like it'll be big enough. So let's click with 2 fingers, save image as, make sure it's going into my hybrid animals, and I would name it something that you know what it is, and hit save. So step 1 is to find images that make sure that colors match and they like go to each other's poses. So like side view and side view. Okay, so I did that. I found my pictures. It should take you probably like 10-15 minutes if you're finding really good pictures. Then I need to open them. So I'm going to go to Photoshop, and if you're in home, you're going to hit open, and then you're going to find the pictures that you have. Let's try this bird. So I'm going to try the falcon, and then I'm going to file, open again. I was doing a crocodile. Okay, this means it's a raw file. You just need to hit open. So I have my 2 pictures. Okay, so now comes the more complicated part. So before we get going, I want to make sure you pay attention to these. So if I need to zoom in and out, Command plus zooms in, Command minus zooms out. And if I'm zoomed in and I want to move around, I can hold the space bar and I get this hand and I can move around. If I'm on my brush tool and I want to switch colors, instead of hitting this arrow works, but I can also hit X and it switches colors. If you want to change the size of your brush, you can use the bracket keys, make it big and small. And then hardness, so 100% means the edges are very hard. And then if I turn it down to 0, the edges are very soft. So you want to use a soft edge for most of this. And then the opacity of the brush is how much you can see through. So you see as you turn it down, it changes, and these are all important settings to know for this project. I'm going to find my history, which is right here. I'm going to undo all of that. Okay, so first I need to make a selection of the animal. So the new Photoshop update is amazing. So if I use the object selection tool, it turns pink. It's finding objects. I can just click on it and see the marching ants are going around the object, and it is pretty much normally perfect. If your object selection tool doesn't work, you could go in, I'm going to Command D, deselect, and you could use quick selection, which you click and drag around. But things like the edge of the feathers, I'm going to, excuse me, things like the edge of the feathers get hard. So if I make too much, I can go to minus, I can go to plus. I can also, if I hold Option, it'll minus things, and if I hold Shift, it'll add. So if I hold Shift, it's going to be on plus. And if I hold Option, it'll go to minus. But you see, this is way more trouble when you do it yourself. And there is a separate video for you to watch on how to use selection tools. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Select and Mask. Right here, it's probably showing you, there's lots of different ways. I like to see it on red, but you can choose, and you can choose how much you can see the viewpoint. So these are all tools for how to feather or like soften your edges. And it'll give you a preview. See how it's showing me? So I like to feather them a little bit. And then also, if you have any little mistakes in this, you can see it. Like it's missing part of the foot, it looks like. So I'm going to go to the brush and I'm going to plus it. Maybe it's just red. I'm going to make my brush smaller using the bracket key. And I'm going to make sure I have all of the little edges that I want in the picture. And then I want to output it to a new layer with a layer mask and hit OK. Now, if you just do object selection, pick it, then I can hit the layer mask button right here, layer mask, and it adds a layer mask and adds it to the layer automatically. So here I have my bird. So I selected the first animal, I added a layer mask. Now I need to use the move tool to move it onto the crocodile. But I made a mistake. I actually want to move the crocodile over here. So I'm going to go to my crocodile. I'm going to do the same thing I just did. I'm going to hit the object selection tool. The marching ants look pretty good. If I want, so I can right now just go like this and add a layer mask. You see how you can tell the black edges still? So I'm going to go back and I'm going to go to my selection tool so I can hit select and mask. I'm going to feather the edges a little bit. It just makes them softer. and it'll give you a preview of what these are doing. I'm going to shift the edge a little bit inside so it gets rid of the black. And I'm going to put it on a new layer with a layer mask and hit OK. So now I have my crocodile. I'm going to go to my move tool. And I'm going to click on the crocodile and hold. I'm holding. Bring it to the falcon. Hit yes. It's OK. OK. I'm going to Command minus and zoom out. So you see how giant my crocodile is compared to my bird? Because it was a bigger file. So I need to edit, transform, scale, or you can also use Command T. And I'm going to make his head smaller. I'm going to put it here, but there's a thing. Okay, so I just used the move tool. Now if I need to change the direction of his head and like flip it if it was going the wrong way, you could do edit, transform, flip horizontal, and it flips it the other direction. I'm gonna undo that. Can you see there is a little black edge all around my alligator? I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer mask. And black, if I hit D, it'll default back to black and white. I hit X, it'll switch the colors. So I need black because it's going to erase. And I just need to go in and erase this little edge from around my picture because that was part of the selection that it accidentally included when I selected the alligator. Things like this are what I'm going to notice when I go to grade. Got to make sure they're right. Okay, so Command 0, fit to screen. Right now, there's not enough room for my alligator's head. So I need to expand the background. So I'm going to go to crop and I'm going to make it go transparent default because that's what I want right now. And I'm just going to pull out the background to the size I need and hit enter. I made sure it was on like a general background thing. I'll show you how you can do this really cool generative thing in a minute. Okay, so I need like that. I'm going to Command T. I'm going to rotate him a little bit. I want him to kind of go where the neck is. Cover it up a little. So I'm going to approximately get it where I want and hit enter. I definitely need to erase this leg. So I'm going to go to my brush tool. I'm going to turn my hardness up all the way because I want it to be a clean line. I'm going to Command plus, zoom in. I'm going to make sure I'm on the layer mask. Black will erase, and I'm just going to erase this arm because I don't want it there. Okay. Command 0, go back. Click on this. Now there's this really awesome function called Puppet Warp. So I am going to use Puppet Warp to make his body fit all the way onto the bird. So I'm going to go to File, Puppet Warp. Now it puts this grid on it. And if I click dots, I can then move the dots and it moves the head like a puppet. Super awesome. And I'm going to put these over here. And I'm going to pull him out. Try not to go too close to the edge because it does like stretch pixels. So if you stretch them too far, it looks fake. I kind of made a mistake. So this one. On this one, you see how I used Puppet and I stretched it. It was like too close to the edge. So this looks bad. Don't do that. Oh, so I switched screens without pressing enter and it got rid of it. So edit, Puppet Warp. I'm going to move this one over a little, and you have to click on the dots you made. It's saying you didn't click on the dot. See how it's going unstretched? I'm going to Command Z. Oh, you have to click on a vector. So let's see. You have to click on one of the triangle lines. So it's saying you have to click where the lines intersect. We're on a line for it to drop a pin. Okay, this one looks really bad and stretched, and then I need to hit enter when I am done. Okay, I cut off a bit of his nose, so I'm going to expand the background. Make sure I'm on transparent or whatever the background is. Okay, now we did that. So I need to make sure I'm on the layer mask, and I'm going to use my brush tool with black and play. Okay, so I need to make sure I'm on the background, because if I go to paint with my brush tool and it turns white, that is bad. It should not turn white or black. I need to be on the layer mask. So I'm black. I'm gonna turn my hardness down because I want it to blend nice. And I'm gonna start with an opacity to 100. Bigger brush is better, maybe even a little bigger. So it's not working because I left this open. Yeah. So you have to close this little menu, bracket key, there you go. Okay, so initially I just need to erase this line because if you don't do it at 100% opacity, it'll stay there forever. I'm gonna turn it down somewhere around there. And I'm going to erase like the second line. Maybe my brush is a little big. And the more I go over, the more it's gonna erase. Like 60% opacity times 2 is 100, it'll erase everything. So you want to turn it down and be careful of how many times you go over the same spot, because the idea is that you blend it. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm going to turn it down more so it gradually goes from one animal to the other. And I turned it down a lot, which is why I'm going over the same spot. So you want it to blend. Do you see how now this looks fake? So I'm going to turn it back up to 100. I'm going to turn my hardness to 100. And I'm going to zoom in. And just with the edge of the brush, I'm going to erase the spot that is now transparent and there was no bird behind it. So I am erasing. That looks like there's a piece of the bird. So I'm going to switch to the bird's layer mask and I'm going to erase that little piece of the bird. So it looks more realistic. So if you have clear lines and it's not smoothly blended, you will lose points. So the key is using opacity gently, turning it down and not erasing on top of yourself, on top of the same spot multiple times. Okay. If you need to erase background, like this one, I took out the background altogether. But if I need to erase a piece of the animal, this is how you do it. Okay. So this one, the bird's beak is in my way. So I need to make sure I am on my background layer. So here's my background layer. I'm going to use the lasso tool and I'm going to figure out the spot that needs to go away. So I'm going to use this part of the lasso tool and it's not erasing an area I need to blend. So I pick it with the lasso tool and then I could hit this button right here, but in case you don't have this button, I'm going to go to Edit, Generative Fill. I'm going to tell it to fill with the background. And it is thinking. Magic of AI has gotten so much better. Okay. That didn't do anything for me. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to use my old tool, which I want to, which is content aware fill. So it's thinking about what is in there. So whatever is green is what it's going to pull from to fill. So I'm going to take away the green so it doesn't accidentally fill it. And it's giving me a preview here. And this is a really easy one because it's nice and all green. And it's filling it, making it go away. Perfect. I'm going to hit OK. And it put that on a new layer, which is perfect. And then to get rid of these marching ants, I can right click, deselect. You can also hit Command D. Okay, so then when I turn this on, background's away and I can continue to blend like I did over here. So that was a few missing pieces. Okay. So I want to make sure it's blended all together. And you can turn on and off this to see if it's blended. And then I need to add a third picture. So I'm going to close this one because I'm not using it anymore. I don't need to save it. I'm going to file open. And I'm going to put some wings on my animal. See how they're brown? They're going to match better. Okay. So again, I'm going to use object selection because it is amazing. And then I'm going to add a layer mask. It did a pretty darn good job. And then I'm going to go to the move tool and I'm going to click and drag up, drag down. I'm going to Command 0. Okay, so here are my wings. See how they're underneath in between? I'm going to move them to the top. Okay, so these are way too big and they're going the wrong direction. So I need to edit, transform, flip horizontal, make them go the other way. And then I'm going to Command T. And there's my box. I'm going to make it smaller, way smaller. And then if I hover over the side, I can get to turn it. Let's make it a little bigger. Great, enter. And then just FYI, there's also a transform warp. If you didn't like the puppet thing, and you can like drag the warp on this one is not very big. You can drag it differently to warp it so that it fits your animal better. I'm gonna bring it in so that I can blend it in there. I'm gonna hit enter with a check mark. Okay, so now I need to click on the layer mask. Again, I'm gonna go to my brush tool. Black is gonna erase, white brings it back. Remember, X switches. Okay, and then I need my hardness to be pretty much 0. I'm starting with my opacity at 100, and I'm first just going to erase this hard line so it doesn't show. I'm going to switch back because I accidentally erased right there that I don't want. Yeah. Oops. So white brings it back. Sorry, my brush is at 0 hardness, so it's getting in on the edges. And then I'm going to turn the opacity down. There's no right number to start with. You just got to start and look at it. I'm actually not liking how I transformed these. So I'm going to go back to edit, transform, warp. And this piece needs to go out more because I don't want to have this edge so far. I'm going to turn it more. Sorry, X. Okay. I'm going to go back to 100 and paint this piece in right here. Okay. I'm going to turn the opacity down. And like I said, you want it to look realistic. So the blending will take you the longest time. Oh, 3, that's a little low. But it's worth it because in the end, it'll look the most realistic. It should blend from one to the other. Now this little corner right here is not working for me. See how I have like erased a piece of it? There's something weird happening here. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm going to turn it all the way up. And I'm going to turn my hardness to 100. And this is to white. Okay, I'll use this one. Oh, it's because the panel's open. Whoop, nope. I'm not on the layer mask. Oh, I am on the layer mask. My Photoshop is currently malfunctioning. I'm on the layer mask. There we go. Nope. Oh, it's the white background that it's bringing back. I see our problem. Okay, so I actually want to be erasing with black. And I just want to make this line better. Because you can see that white. And it is bugging me. There we go. Okay. Now I can turn my opacity down. And turn my hardness back down so it blends. No, still don't like it. So you see, even me, it takes a little bit. I'm going to make my brush smaller. It takes a little bit of finagling to get this right. I need to turn that all the way to 100 to get rid of this one hard line that shows. That is not good. Okay, for demo purposes, this is looking pretty good. It is blended. We're doing okay. So you want to make sure there aren't any weird blended spots. So turn on and off and see if there's any like glaring little spots that are weird looking. I think I caught them. And you know I'm going to come up and zoom in and check. So make sure you are patient about this part. Okay. I am going to do something that is not in the written directions currently. I need to put a background in here. So I'm going to Command 0. I'm going to hit Command A, which is selecting all of the background area. And then I'm going to go to Edit, Generative Fill. This is really sweet AI that is brand new. Let's put them in a field of hay. Let's see what Photoshop thinks. So it is generating right now a background from its library of images to fill in the background, because right now I have a transparent background and I need a background. Whoa, okay. So I have a field of hay and then it's giving me options over here. So I can pick the one I like. I think I like this one. You see how I lost the bottom of my animal? It's because the field of hay is in front of it. So I need to put the field of hay on the bottom. And then I'm going to select all of this. Maybe I'll put it in a group. There's a group. And then I'm going to use my move tool. Whoops. Nope, didn't help. Command. I'm going to shift click on the first one, hold shift, click on the last one. And I'm going to move and change my little animal guy so he looks like he's standing in there. And then the light is looking a little weird. Now I need to fix things like color. So I put him in a background. If your picture already has a background, great, you don't have to do this. So now I need to add some shadows and make the colors look similar. So to add a shadow, I'm going to select all of them. No, I can't do it. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go FX, drop shadow. And then it'll give you a preview. What do I have right now? The wings. Yep. Okay, I'm gonna start with the body though. I think that'll be easier. FX. Drop shadow. And you see how it's showing the shadow? So if I look at the light in mine, the shadows are over here. So I need to make the shadow of my bird go in a similar spot so it looks more realistic. So I'm playing with the angle. So I see something that looks more realistic. And then I can change the size, the spread. There you go, that's better. The spread is how far it goes. The size is how big it is. So I'm just trying to match what I see in this picture. Opacity is how like dark it is. So this is very much just your eye looking and trying to match. And I'm gonna hit OK. And then if I go to FX on the next layer, because they all need to match, it should automatically save what I did for the last one. So I can just hit OK. And then the wings. This one might get a little weird because it's on top. So I'm actually gonna hit cancel and not do that one that way. So I added a drop shadow. And then I can also, I'm gonna add a blank layer underneath the wings. So that is, this is a new layer, a new blank layer. I'm gonna add a new blank layer. And I am right now showing you, so this was the drop shadow, was the last one. I'm gonna show you how to do burn and dodge. So this one, I'm on my blank layer. The burn and dodge tool is right here. So the burn will make it darker and the dodge will make it lighter. Okay, so I want to dodge, let's say midtones. I'm gonna turn my exposure down. So what this should do is, let me turn it up so you can see. It's not current. Oh, you have to do it on top. Okay. So I need to put it on the body. See how it's making it darker? That's what I want to do. So I want to make it look like, I can trash this guy, it doesn't work. I'm gonna make sure I'm on, I want to make it look like there's like a shadow of the wings. So I'm gonna turn it down to somewhere around there. And I'm gonna try and kind of make this a little darker. Like there, that does not look good. Stick to the midtones. Oh, my airbrush setting on. Airbrush will layer it together. Oh. See, nothing was happening because I'm on the wrong layer again. So when in doubt, check your layer. So I need to make sure I'm on this one because I can only paint like on a picture. And I'm gonna try and like add a little shadow down here. So it looks like maybe it was really there. I'll put a little on the alligator. Because if there was light there, it really would have a shadow. So you're trying to fine tune the shadows to make it look realistic. So you can use drop shadows or you can use the burn and dodge tool to make it look realistic. Last step, I need to make the colors look similar. So my alligator head is way too bright. It obviously does not belong to the animal. So I'm going to find my alligator head, which is this one. I'm going to click on it. And then this is my adjustments panel. You can also go to this black white circle right here. And I'm going to do brightness contrast. And this symbol clips it to the thing right below it. So right now, if I do brightness contrast, it affects the entire picture. But since it's right above my layer, if I hit this clip to, now it is only going to affect the alligator's head, which is what I want. So I'm going to turn the brightness down so it looks a little bit more like it belongs. And this is very much just eyeballing it to see what you think looks good. Okay, and then I also think that it needs a little more brown. So I'm going to try hue saturation, and I'm again going to clip it. And let's see. That does not super help. Maybe making it a little more red helps. Maybe I desaturate a little bit. So if you turn the saturation all the way down, it turns black and white. So I'm going to desaturate it just a little bit. Yes, and then I could try color balance. Again, I'm going to clip it. I'm just seeing what kind of helps here. Oh yeah, that's better. So I would do color balance. And I am just now seeing this little piece of the bird's head that is not covered up. So I would need to go back and fix this. Okay. I would go back and fix this. So let's see, here's the bird. Let's turn off these other things. I would select the little piece of her head that needs to go away. I'm gonna turn on this layer to make sure I got the whole thing. I almost got the whole thing. So I'm going to add to. Okay. I'm going to do edit content aware fill because I want it to go off of what is currently in the picture. And right now that is not good. So I want to minus because I don't want it to be the bird's head. Okay. I'm going to plus okay, I'm gonna hit cancel because this isn't doing what I want. Edit, content aware fill. Oh, I see my problem. I accidentally am on the wrong layer. Okay, so I need to fill in the hay. Now if I do edit, guess generative fill it is. We'll see if it goes away. If it doesn't, I'll show you a different way. Great, totally worked. Okay. Nope, didn't. Just kidding. Okay, so I'm gonna trash this. Whoops. Okay, so I'm gonna go on the layer and I'm going to use something called clone stamp. I need to hold Alt Option in Mac and click to pick the area I want to sample. Make sure I'm on the right layer to paint on it. And hey look, now the weird piece of head is gone. And you want to pick something that is close. Whoops. Turn off the bird. And you just want to make sure it looks realistic. Okay, there we go. I know it looks like a lot of steps and directions, but this is how it should look when you are done. So I have my 3 pictures. Okay, I need to Command 0. I want to zoom out. There we go. So I need to Command Shift 4. Take a screenshot. Make sure you can see the picture and all of your layers. If you cannot, you will lose points. And then I need to File, Save As. I wish put demos to save it as your hybrid animal. And then you need to turn both of those into Google Classroom. And before you do so, I would recommend you have me come look at it in person so I can point out any issues you might have had that will lose you points. So make sure you take a screenshot and put them both in the assignment under Google Classroom. Happy editing!